Next question. What has been your experience or opinion of the attitude to mental health in Japan? Not great. General public understanding of mental illness and disorder in Japan, I believe, is quite low, extremely low. Any kind of mental illness or disorder tends to get blanketed under the term utsubyo. However, what people don't know is that utsubyo is the term for clinical depression. It does not cover any other kind of illness or disorder. So that can be really frustrating when trying to communicate something like that to someone. Most of the people I've talked to about the issue are just ignorant because nobody really talks. It's a don't ask, don't tell issue here because it carries a lot of stigma, so people just don't talk about it. And I personally have learned the vocabulary for things such as like schizophrenia, panic disorders, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and so on. But when I try to talk to the people and I use these words, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And I have to like kind of dumb it down into simple terms so they know what I'm talking about. And once again, like I mentioned, people are terrified of the concept of being labeled as having a mental disorder because they don't want to get the crazy label. So, I mean, that's completely understandable, and which is why it's very, very much swept under the rug here. However, to be honest, that's not much different than Western stigma. I'd say in the West it's improving a little bit, but it's still not there yet. That's just my opinion, though. Next, is there really such a focus on youth in Japan? Like, what age do people consider old over there? Once again, this is just my opinion, but I think the focus on youth is just, it's a bunch of hot air. People talk about, oh, we need to increase the birth rate, we need to support children, we need to support working mothers. But the lines for getting your kid in daycare are ridiculously long. The tax structure for working mothers is ridiculous. If you're trying to claim as a dependent on your husband's like health insurance, they really screw you over in income tax. And this is just stuff like that I've heard from my working mother friends here, and they're just like, yeah, it sucks. So Japan is still a really difficult place to try to raise children, and it's maybe getting worse. And the government always highlights like, oh, we're gonna do all this stuff to help the youth. No, none of it happens. They're trying to change up the education system a little bit to like help kids think, I would say use more critical thinking, but whether that's going to work or not, I don't know. Time's going to tell. But right now, I think most people talking about, oh, we're going to focus on the children, and then there's no action taken. So there's a focus, but nothing's being done to help the situation, which kind of sucks. And what age do people consider old? Late 70s, maybe? The lifespan is longer here, so late 70s, early 80s. Old people are really energetic here, so it's really hard to tell. Like, some of the most energetic people I've met have been like 85 years old. So I'm like, wow, you have more energy than I do and you're 85. That's amazing. So like Japanese people, like they just never get old. They're just always like, yeah, which is pretty great actually. Next question, is creativity frowned upon there as much as I hear? No, it's not really, but you have to be creative in the right way. So you can't just be like, I'm crazy, here's a crazy idea that has not been proven at all, let's try it. No, you can't do that. You have to bring your creativity within your corporate structure and present it like it was possibly someone else's idea. So you have to kind of blanket or like bandwagon your creativity in and like kind of smuggle it in and be like, yeah, I thought of this idea and maybe it might benefit you too, but doing it within, usually if you're working within your own corporate structures. So creativity is good, you just have to know how to present it within the acceptable Japanese way, which is a bit more conformist. So, it's weird. Think of it as a piggy in a blanket. Creativity is like the hot dog, and then the bread part is the corporate structure. Yeah. Anyway, next question. What has been the biggest act of kindness you have ever experienced while in Japan? I got very sick at the end of 2013 and ended up in the hospital. When the staff asked for an emergency contact, I was like, oh, I can't have them contact my parents because they don't speak Japanese. I had them call my boyfriend at the time. It was really late at night, but he came all the way to my place to watch me in my apartment that night to make sure like nothing happened to me while I was sleeping. And that was pretty cool. And then the next day he took like a half day off of work to go to the hospital with me. I didn't need him to go to the hospital with me. I could have done fine by myself, but it was kind of like emotional support. So actually it was really cool. And if you know Japan and their corporate culture, a salaryman taking a half day off to go support his girlfriend is like unheard of. People just don't do that. You just don't take days off randomly here. So that was really kind. And like, we're no longer dating. Like, we broke up like almost 2 years ago, but I'm so thankful for his kindness. Like, it was cool of him to do that. Next question. Western movies are popular around the world. How quickly do they show up in Japanese theaters, and are they usually subtitled? Hollywood movies. I think Japan is like the last country to which Hollywood movies appear. It can take 3 to 6 months or longer for Western movies to appear in Japanese theaters. When you see them, I don't go to Japanese theaters a lot because it costs 1,800 yen for one ticket. So that's roughly $18 just for one ticket to see a movie. Like, you could buy the DVD for that much. So I was like, you know, I don't go to the movies often. It's too expensive. But the times I have, all of the Western movies I have seen were dubbed in English, and there were Japanese subtitles. Although when you buy the DVD, there's usually a Japanese dub. Also, it does take a lot of time. Part of it is localization. So it's not just translation. You got to localize it, especially with American movies like Ted. There's a lot of pop culture references which would make absolutely no sense to Japanese people, so you have to localize the jokes to make them make sense, basically changing the humor. So that takes a ton of time. And also, I did a little bit of research, and apparently distribution to Japanese theaters is different than like the rest of the world. And apparently deals are only settled with theaters after the popularity ratings from other countries comes in. So they sit and they wait and they watch how popular it is overseas before bringing it over to see if it's going to be a flop or not. So that's also why it may take a while. Next question. Are there any words in Japanese that do not translate well into English? Basically any aisatsu or greeting does not translate into English. For example, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Nope, doesn't translate. You would say it to anyone anytime you're asking them a favor or asking anyone to be in cooperation with you in any capacity. You would say that, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Then of course there's many versions of that. There's like the casual yoroshiku and so on. The other one is like go enryo shinaide. It literally, if I were to literally translate, like, it means don't stand on ceremony. It's kind of, it's almost like the American, like, don't be shy, help yourself. But it's not quite like that because it's not quite that open. And it can be used in various situations. The other ones are like mochi mochi suru. That doesn't translate, but it's something that has the texture of rice cakes, mochi rice cakes, but is not a mochi rice cake. So that doesn't really make sense in English a lot, just because of the culture. Next question. Are most concerts in Japan those that you have a seat and you don't leave it, or the type where you're just standing and there's an empty room at the stage? How about moshing? I would say that's like in the States. It just depends who you're seeing. I've been to over like 170 concerts here. If you go to like the independent rock band show, like rock shows, it's standing only and everybody's moshing. Yeah. But mostly in the front. And by moshing, it's like it is an organized chaos. No one really gets hurt unless you're getting gyakudaied, which is crazy visual kei fangirl stuff and is insane and is one of the big reasons why I just stopped going to visual kei concerts unless I'm in the VIP section, because nope, I don't do that anymore. I do not mess with Jodan anymore because they will sit there and like try to kill you with their elbows, and it's rude, and they're rude, and I don't like them. I should make a video just about that sometime. Like, I don't like those people. However, if you just go see like a concert, like I went to go see this thing called Classic Rock Jam, where it was a bunch of like older Japanese artists having reunion concerts covering classic American songs. That was all like, it was seating only, and like I was sitting like up in the balcony. I think I was the youngest person there, and everybody was just sitting down because they're all old and tired. So it was just, but it was relaxing. It was nice. Like I used to go moshing like every day, like headbanging from the waist down every day, and I'm almost 32. I can't, my back just does not do that. So I like to sit down and enjoy a concert. Probably the most intense concert with actual serious moshing that I've been to was going to go see The Prodigy over in Shinkiba in Studio Coast. I had a bruise like all the way from here, like all the way down my body from moshing, and it was awesome. However, it wasn't like the hate-filled VK moshing that I was used to. It was actually just people having a good time. So actually seeing The Prodigy in Tokyo was one of the best concerts I've ever seen. I recommend seeing them if you like them. They put on a great show. Yeah.